Thank you. We have an excellent presenter gone through what Informatica available in terms of the solutions. Now, I'm from IDC, which is not the company typically what you know about our commercial data center. IDC, for you, probably not very sure or never heard about. We are a research company. IDC stands for International Data Corporations. We run all kinds of research related to information technologies and help the industry to understand what is the next big trend. I worked in IDC for 16 years and I moved to China 6 years ago. 16 years, worked in IDC for 16 years, moved to China 6 years ago. Now, when Tony and Cindy asked me to present on the topic of big data, she told me that, well, within 20 minutes, can you tell us what is the key market trend in the big picture? I was thinking about it. Big data certainly is a very important topic. There's no way that I can cover everything within 20 minutes. So what I'm thinking to do then is I want to focus on just one thing. When you walk out the door, what I would like you to take away is that big data is something urgent. This is not something that like all the other technology. It's something that you can plan about it. It's nice to have, but it doesn't really hurt your company. But big data is something very different that if you don't do it now or fast enough, your competition will. Tony have mentioned that if you, as a CIO, cannot work on something, your successor will do it. I would say that for big data, if your company cannot work it out, the formula, your competition will. And I do see cases that the company will disappear overnight. So with this urgency, I will repeatedly to give you example and example and example to demonstrate about the urgency. Now, before that, what I'd like to walk you through then is in IDC every year, we run our direction events. In fact, in Taiwan, we did it in May timeframe. Some of you may have attended our directions event. Now, let me just quickly review. In this direction event, we want to tell, to show that what is the next big things in the industry. Now, this year, we have picked one major theme, which is called the third platform. We have gone through the first platform, which is based on mainframe and terminal. And then, we are now in the second platform, which is all about the PC, internet, and network. Now, we move into the third platform, which is a lot of you notice about is the 4 mega trend, talking about cloud computing, mobility, social media, and big data. Now, every time we move from one phases to the other phases, what I do notice is that the number of users that we are handling. When we are in the first platform, what we are looking at is the user is mainly with a large enterprise, the IT department. Now, when we move to the second platform, we increase the number of user coverage from 100,000 times, which is basically every one of you sit in this room. Now, what we are looking at in the third platform then is basically everyone. Everyone. You may ask them, well, there's still some people that they don't have a computer, they don't have a smartphone. How can it be everybody? If you think about it, all the sensors that are around us, smart meter, for example, they are all around us. And they have been collecting data and sending back to the data center for analysis. So what we are talking about in the third platform is basically everyone. Now, how we can make sure that we can capture the opportunity? There is a major change of the IT department. First of all, when we are talking about the third platform, everything is related to industry solution. Specific solution, specific business analytics. That can give us a different value. Second thing, which is all related to you. The IT department, the CIO, is now need to go into the front seat. A lot of the business decision or business strategy is all related to IT. In the past, we have been sitting back in the supporting role. Now we are in the front to tell the CEO and CFO what is the next important business strategies. And the third thing is all around us. It's all about social media, mobility, and even video. All the different type of format that we are looking at. Now with this third platform, what we are looking at in terms of the opportunity. Well, IDC is a data company. We provide a lot of research and data. This is in terms of worldwide, total ICT spending based on the second platform in blue and the third platform in red. Now, when you look at the ICT total spending, you may then ask, it's like, hey, Kitty, well, I can see the growth for the third platform, but it doesn't seem that it's that exciting that by 2020, the total spending for the third platform is still smaller than the second platform. Where is the opportunity? Why I need to put my focus on the third platform? In fact, when I look at it, this is the scary part of the third platform. I can guarantee you, although we are looking at the total IT spending, is smaller than the second platform, but the total number of users covered under the third platform is way bigger. When we are looking at the third platform, the total spending or the cost per user are significantly lower than the second platform. What does it mean to you? In the past, because you are enterprise, because you have the capital, you can invest, you can put in all your infrastructure. Now in the third platform, your competition can do the same thing. Through cloud computing, social media, and all the available technologies. In fact, in China, one of the things I'm quite amazed is that Wei just mentioned about Taobao. So I think most of you know Taobao, right? It's one of the online e-commerce company. In fact, in China, they have a Taobao University. So the teenage can actually just study in this university and learn how to open up their shop on Taobao platform. And the cost is just about a computer. And that's it. So this is what we are talking about in the third platform. A major change of business model and opportunity. Now, again, I mentioned to you that I'm going to give you example and an example to demonstrate how urgent and how important is the third platform. Traditionally, when we are looking at the total market opportunity, we look at the number of companies that we can cover as a company. This is a typical pyramid of total number of companies by different sizes in US. And you can see exactly the same thing in Taiwan and any part of the world. Now, in the second platform, we are looking at is like, regardless how hard we are, we're trying to drive a strategies or business model that can cover all the way down to SMB, maybe 100 employees company, maybe something smaller. But there is still a fraction of this total available market. But in the third platform, what we are talking about is the entire spectrum of opportunity. Now, one of the examples, when I heard about it, I was actually quite excited and then really demonstrate the power of the third platform. This is a software company. The CEO, he mentioned that it was in 2000. He said that by 2010, they want to grow the number of customers from 20,000 to 100,000. So within 10 years. So we are looking at every year it's about 10,000 additional customers that he can add. Guess what Google can do? Google CEO in 2011 saying that in every day they add 5,000 companies in their platform. So how we can capture it? Today we are talking about big data. We are talking about all the different devices the applications, contents, as well as the data. Again, I want to give you some data, so when you go back and talk to your CEO and CFO, this is the data, this is the market we are looking at. We are forecasting in terms of data, application, contents, and data. This is the growth we are looking at. 3 times, 2 times, 6 times, 2 times in 5 years. This is the amount of data, devices, and components that we are looking at within the next 5 years. Now then, how we should look at for the big data, we have mentioned about the 3V. IDC look at it in 4V. We have something called a 433 formula. First of all, we look at the definition. What is big data, which is the 4V I'm going to walk you through. What is the important 3C that the big data value chain should include? And also at the end, what is the big 3 things that you should try to avoid when you are designing big data? For the 4V, we have mentioned about 3. So in IDC, we add one more, which is the value. We need to make sure that the amount of data, whether it's structured or unstructured, it will give us the value. It will give us the reason why we need to make this analysis. This is actually, in my opinion, by far the components or the technology where we are looking at it. The CEO, and CFO right away will understand why I need to invest. You need to tell the CEO and CFO that this is the reason we need to invest in big data. Then what are these? Typically, today when we are looking at big data around the world, 70% of the investment of big data is related to fraud management. Okay? Mainly in the financial industry. Easy formula. It's going to have that amount of money, is going to have the bad debt. This is the investment. It can help us to save amount of money. Easy formula. CFO look at it, okay, go and invest. So that's why today 70% of the investment is around for this reason. But I would say that this is something nice to have, but it's not going to be, it's not something that it won't kill you if you don't do it. When I look at it, the other 5 components or the reason are more compelling. And it is important for all the company to look at every single boxes and have a strategy on it. And I give you the example, the typical usage in the industry's perspective. I'm not going to give you all the example, but I want to give you one example as a demonstration. And then if you need to know what example, please feel free to contact IDC or Informatica. So the example I want to give is actually in the telco industry. Now today, telco is very challenging in terms of keeping of customers. They can carry the phone number and then just change the carrier whatever they want. So keeping the customer is extremely important for telco. So that's why we are looking at is how we can segment the customer. Customer segmentation in the third platform is extremely important. Again, we're looking at like a complete expansion of customers that we can cover. Now, how we can set the right customer segmentation? In the past, in the telco industry, what they typically can do is all about bundling. How much, what is my plan that I can offer to you, and whether I can give you a free iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy Note. It's all about the bundling and plan. Now, this is not big data, this is statistics. You get your customer statistics, you can get your plan come out and with the customer segmentation. But now what we are looking at in the third platform is not only about the spending power, it's the influence. Simple example, if in my Weibo or my Twitter, I have 1,000 followers, you only have 5, who is more important? If I'm not happy with your plan, I'm going to tweet on my Twitter or Weibo, and 1,000 of the foreigner will know that I'm not happy, and they will consider to discontinue the plan. But the other person only has 5. The influence is actually a lot less. So in the third platform, when we are looking at the customer segmentation, we start to look at not only the spending power, but the influence of the market. This is all the information we need to collect from the unstructured data world. So this is one of the examples I want to give out, and of course there's other things that we are looking at that can relate to the big data. Now in terms of the 3C, what we need to look at is, first of all, collect data. How can we collect the data? Consolidation, and at the end we can use it, the consumption of it. I want to walk you through this 3C with one example. Coca-Cola, we all know about it, probably you drink about the Coca-Cola as well. Now, as Coca-Cola, there is no way for them to collect data. They put the sugar water, like the Coke in the bottle or can, and then sell it in the supermarket. The best they can do to collect the data is to go back to the supermarket and get the information. How much did they sell? And at what time, probably. That's the best they can do. So how they can collect the data so that they can provide the analysis, that they can give more option to the customer. So that's why they start to invent this machine. So this is something new in US, and of course it's not new in Asia. You probably see it a lot in Japan. But this is something new in US, that they invent this machine. They provide 125 different flavors of Coca-Cola, and you can change the sweetness of the Coca-Cola from light to sweeter, or whether it's a Diet Coke with lemon flavor, different things, 125 different flavors. Now, because they have this machine, they collect all the data, and now they can have this map of US in city level by different time period. Guess what? If you can put in some of your personal information, they can start to collect your data for your Facebook and Twitter and different things to get more information as a backend and start to put the analysis together. This is how they can collect the data, consolidate the data, and at the end, how they consume it. Mass production. They start to understand that this city, in this area, they like this flavor. They mass production the flavor and put it into the bottle, sell it in Walmart. This is how they use it from don't know how to collect the data, invent a machine, understand about where the differences in the different area, and the mass production of the product. Now, what are the three things that we need to keep in mind and avoid in the big data world? First of all, we need to make sure that what kind of information we need to collect. This is again an example. Clinique is one of the very famous cosmetics company. So they are clever enough to start inventing this iPad solution that all the customer can go to the counter and then they can, based on your skin condition and everything, and put in all the information, send it back to the data center, and then through the data center they create some recommendations, send it back to the iPad, and then as a customer you can see it. It worked very well, the customer liked it, but what's happened is that they forgot to store the data and they forgot to collect the personal information. So at the end of the day, they can actually use it at one time, ad hoc communication, but after that, they lose the entire analysis of the data. So when we are thinking about big data, when we are collecting all the information, make sure that we know we need to collect and store it, and then we can provide the necessary analysis. Second thing is that make sure that when we build all the infrastructure, it is well prepared for the big data. This is another example in US that is a bank. They are clever enough, again, they are clever enough that before Christmas, they know that there is a major increase of data transaction in a short period of time. So they managed to increase their data center capacity as a modular during that time. It worked extremely well. But what happened was, a few months later, they decided to actually move on to use something based on Hadoop, and they are looking for instant data analysis. So what they have built up as a modular, they can't talk to all the data center, and they lost all the connectivities between all the data center. The last thing, make sure that the data are talking to each other. This is another example. It's from a retail company in UK that they in fact have 100 years of customer information. The department of the customer information database, they run all kind of analysis, which is very good. And then another marketing department, they are modern enough, they look at social media information and run their own analysis. But these two departments never talk to each other. They're losing the connection. So when we are thinking about the big data, make sure that the data management will talk to each other. This is like a very quick 3 key things that we need to avoid or be prepared when we are planning our big data. I have used up my 20 minutes. I want to close my presentation with just one quote. Steve Jobs, I think everybody know about him. One of his favorite quotes is that, do you want to spend the rest of your life selling sugared water, or do you want the chance to change the world? This is the statement that they convinced the CEO of Pepsi to work for him. Okay? Now, as a closing, what I think is that by selling a sugar water can change the world as well, as long as you know how to make use of big data. With that, thank you very much.